Hey there, it's me, Wonder Wendy, the imperfect prophet. And you're probably wondering why I'm sitting on the floor in front of the couch. I'm sitting here very intentionally because I wanted to talk about what lurks beneath the couch. Dust bunnies. Now, I've often questioned what the meaning of my life is. What is my purpose in life? One thing I know for certain, it is not to have an immaculate house. Never has been, never will be. Even when I've cleaned, there are probably dust bunnies under my couch. I am so grateful for the Roomba vacuum cleaner because it goes under the couch. But before there was a Roomba, when one of my daughters was a newborn, she learned to scoot before she learned to crawl. As an infant, she learned to maneuver herself on her back, going backwards and pushing off with her feet. Now, this was my first child. And there was that horrible day when I suddenly looked around and I couldn't find the baby. I'd lost the baby. Where did the baby go? And then we found her under the couch. She had scooched backwards under the couch. That onesie provided a total lack of friction that allowed her to move at great speeds and disappear under the couch. So we reached under the couch and dragged her out and found her covered with dust and dog fur. The first of not high water mark being a mom, which is to say it wasn't a high water mark for being a mom. And it also was not the last time that I would feel like I wasn't the world's best mom. And I still wonder if I'm a pretty good mom. Anyway, so back to the dust under the couch, which I know is there because I've had it revealed to me before. And when I move, which is my favorite way of cleaning, is just pick up all the furniture, put it in a truck, and then go to a new clean place. When I move, I usually find out what's been hiding under the furniture, and it's horrifying. That said, I want to draw a comparison to the fur under the couch or the dust bunnies under the couch and a fear of failure. Why am I talking about failure? Because we're all about being positive here on The Imperfect Prophet. We're about living our best life. We're about being our best selves. Ooh, but failure is the dust bunny under the couch that you don't notice, even when you're trying to live your best life. And sometimes you have to do a little deep cleaning to live your best life. So that's why I'm sitting on the floor, because we're going to talk about that fear that keeps you from living your best life, from doing things that you dream about, from having everything you deserve and everything you want. So what's my fear? Why am I thinking about fear a lot lately? I just started a podcast and I've put all this work into it and all this preparation and all these resources. And what if nobody listens? What if I fail? Pretty scary. Actually, really scary. I've never been an overachiever. I'll be honest with you about that. I'm the youngest of 6 kids, and a lot of those siblings were overachievers. All the honor society, all the merits, all the everything. So by the time I came along, I got to hear who got an almost perfect score on the SATs, or who got a scholarship, or who did this, or who did that. Didn't leave me with a lot to feel that I could achieve. I became what I call a 7-0 and go. Means you hit 70%, you pass, and you move on. It's all good. That's not to say I didn't get good grades once in a while, because I was smart enough to fake it through tests and had a little bit of the gift of the blarney so I could write a good report. But I was never developed really good study skills. Still working on that to this day. And here we are. I've been reasonably successful. I've done a lot of really great things, but I had to get over that fear of failure, of not achieving the same level as somebody else. Now, why am I talking to you about this? One, want you to know the imperfect prophet has a lot of reason to feel that she's imperfect. And I want you to know that can't be a reason to stop. So we talked about making friends. We've talked about getting out there, developing your passions. That's scary too. What if you talk to somebody and they don't like you back? What if you make a plan to get together with somebody and they don't show up? Okay, what if they don't? What if they don't like you back? What if they don't show up? Are you going to die? Probably not. Let's think about what the potential is if you do risk failure and you make a new friend. Just this past weekend, I finally got together with a woman who I met at a chance meeting. She was helping 2 friends look at a house just down the block from mine. We encountered each other and I liked her and she liked me. So we started following each other on social media, and we started a slow conversation. And then we started trying to make our schedules coordinate because have you ever discovered the really interesting people have really busy schedules? Don't take it personally when they can't get together. Be persistent because eventually you will. And this past Sunday, we finally got together. We had a lovely meal together. I learned a lot about her. She's hysterical. And we're going to try and connect more in the future and connect our two social networks and see what can come of that. That's what you can gain by taking the risk. That's why I'm talking about failure. Interestingly, since I started having these thoughts, I'm seeing all these articles on failure and embracing failure and what you can gain by that. Teddy Roosevelt quoted, it's on the statue at the beginning of the movie Red Dawn, the 1980s version. I think there was a newer version. Who wants to see that? It doesn't have Patrick Swayze. If you like what I just said, you're definitely my people. Anyway, so at the beginning, oh gosh, now I'm trying to remember the quote. Far better it is to risk something than to do nothing at all. It's a great quote, and I just butchered it. The modern phrasing of that is, when I get to the end, I don't want to get there safely. I want to slide in sideways screaming, wow, what a ride. That's how I want to live my life. Wow, what a ride. Instead of being afraid of failure and saying, I regret what I didn't do. And this morning, there was even somebody on the news talking about learning to love failure. He's teaching his kids not that everyone should win an award, but we should value the person who did win. We should learn how to win with grace and learn how to lose with grace as well. Have you looked around the world lately? There's a lot of people who need to not be sore losers. Just saying. Nothing more than that. But if you learn how to compete, you learn that sometimes you lose, sometimes you win. That sets you up for success. Classic metaphor is the butterfly. That butterfly has to curl up as a caterpillar in a chrysalis, which is that little wrapping that, like a mummy, that it's in for a while. And then that poor little butterfly, as it turns into a butterfly, has to beat its way out of that chrysalis. It takes a lot of work. It's exhausted when it's done and gets out. But they found if you cut the butterfly out and it doesn't have that struggle, it will not live because it hasn't developed the muscles it needs to fly. Please be like that butterfly. Learn to stretch your wings. Learn to strengthen yourself. Learn to try. Know that it won't always be easy, and sometimes you'll be sore, but in the end, it is so worth it. Don't let that dust under the couch be the better of you. Fight for what you need. Don't let your fear nag at you and keep you from doing what you want. Now, granted, I'm not going to climb Kilimanjaro. I don't have a desire to climb Kilimanjaro, but I might climb Camelback in Arizona or Mount Mansfield in Vermont, which is where I am right now. I'm here for my 40th high school reunion. Talk about fear of failure. You get to go into a room full of people who you knew, gulp, 40 years ago, and reconnect. Now, I've gone to several reunions already, so it's not going to be a room full of pseudo strangers, but I don't know all of them. And I'm be honest with you, I'm really bad with names, and I pray we have name tags. We usually do, so I don't have to work that hard. And I go, oh, wait, I do remember you. You were a jock. Yeah, the labels are still there, but that jock may have no hair and a beer belly now. And that head of the cheerleaders may be a grandmother, is probably a grandmother. Oh, hell, I'm a grandmother. We've reached an age where we aren't the people we were 40 years ago. Now, here's why I do go to high school reunions. That's a room full of people who remember a world the way I remember it. The restaurants that were there, the places we went, the things that were different. Without cell phones, we carried change so we could use payphones. If you're a young person, ask your parent or grandparent what a payphone is. We knew how to use phone books. We knew how to use encyclopedias. It's nice to be in the comfort of people who remember the world the way I do. And I hope when you go to your reunions or get together with old friends or old acquaintances, you too discover that little piece of the world you forgot. And that's part of the fun of it. 5 years ago, at my 35th high school reunion, I sat down with one of those jocks. We had a very pleasant conversation. But I will tell you honestly, I don't think he and I had ever spoken prior to that meeting 5 years ago. But we remembered the same world. And you might be interested to discover what people thought of you. Because remember how I told you I thought I was a 7.0 and go and not an overachiever? A number of my high school classmates who have said to me, I always expected you to do something. Really? They expected me to make something of myself. I didn't expect me to make something of myself, but they did. And that was kind of cool to learn that, to hear that from my former classmates. So go in with an open mind. Now, that said, I'm going to share another story. Many years ago, oh gosh, about 15, 16 years ago, I ran into two different people I went to high school with within the course of about 2 weeks. Both people I hadn't seen since high school. One of them said I was always a popular girl wearing all the right clothes. And the other kind of inferred that I hung out with losers and wasn't really that popular. Two people that I went to high school with had very different perceptions of who I was when I was in high school. And of course, as always, the truth lies somewhere in between. I wasn't one of the uber popular girls wearing all the right labels, doing all the right things. I was a little bit nerdy, a little bit dorky. I played D&D once in a while because I had friends who played D&D. Didn't do it a lot. We're not talking those 3-day marathons with Mountain Dew. There, you have it. I was usually an elf or something else, or a bard, yeah, or a thief. I liked fun characters. It was a little bit theatrical. I also was in honors classes, not getting top grades most of the time, but I was in mostly honors classes, although I was an AP. So again, I didn't quite fit in anywhere. I fit in everywhere. I fit in nowhere. I don't know, a little bit of both. If you felt like you didn't fit in anywhere in high school, odds are if you go to a reunion, you're going to find out very few people felt like they fit in 100%. Most of those jocks were always wondering if they were going to make the team next year or if they were going to make the A string. Everybody was fighting to be who they needed to be or trying to be something they really weren't. One of my dear friends from high school brought his husband to the reunion. I had no inkling he was gay when we were in high school. I didn't have an inkling anyone was gay when I was in high school, which is because I grew up in Vermont and I thought gay people were somewhere else. Of course, I've learned a lot since then, and I've learned a lot of people weren't what we thought they were. I've learned to accept them for who they are, and blessedly, most of them accept me for who I am. And now I'm an ally, but I had to learn that. Wow, I'm bearing my soul a lot today. I hope you're comfortable with that. And I hope you're hearing a little bit that resonates, that no matter where you are or where you don't think you fit in, you belong somewhere. And I really want you to reach for it. Get out of your comfort zone. Clean out the fear under the couch. It's there. Sometimes you can just let it stay there, though, and move on, because most guests won't look under the couch unless they have a baby that scooches under the couch and comes out looking like Chewbacca. But she's okay. She's almost 29 years old now, and she survived that. Not the worst moment in her life. She doesn't even remember it. It's only me who's traumatized. Possibly her dad, but chances are he blamed it on me for having dust under the couch because he was working and I was taking care of the house at that point in my life. But let's go back to my purpose in life was not and is not to have an immaculate house. It's to have a pretty nice house. I keep it neat. I keep it nice. I have a wonderful life. So what are you going to do this next week to find the wonder in your life, to live the wonderful bucket list life and be a bucket lister with me? Is your bucket list getting longer as we have these conversations? Are you thinking about all the things that you've wanted to do but didn't have the courage to do? Or you let those fears get the best of you so you didn't do it? Start writing them down. Start figuring out how you're going to make that happen. Now, if it's a trip to Paris and you can't afford a trip to Paris this week, go take a French cooking class. Find an Anglo-French group around where you live and start learning French. There's lots of ways you can start preparing for that journey and have a little taste of France. Maybe plan a trip to Montreal. That's like France light. I love to go to Montreal. As a matter of fact, I wish I could go this week while I'm in Vermont because it's less than 2 hours away, but I overbooked my week with the reunion and seeing old friends. So on a future trip, I will definitely be going to Montreal and using my pitiful amount of French, because remember, I was only a 7.0 and go student, so I don't speak fluently, but I can do it. And I love French cuisine and I love French wine. Oh, and this afternoon, I'm drinking water. I was going to have a drink with y'all. I was going to open some wine, but the air conditioning broke down here and it's 85 degrees and very humid. I'm a little spritzy. So water it is. Like I said, no judgment. Whatever you drink, just be convivial and have a drink with me, whether it's water or coffee or wine or scotch or soda. No judgment here. Be a bucket lister. Have a wonderful bucket list life. And start that list of things you've been waiting to do and ignore the dust under the couch. Greetings from Vermont. We'll see you somewhere else next week.